Welcome back, I'm Dylan with BimmerTech. Today we're going to be installing our wireless CarPlay and Android Auto MMI Prime in Jarrett's E84 X1. That's right, you've seen this car on our channel before where we installed our premium audio amplifier and our Alpha 1 speaker system. If you have not, go over there and check out those videos, link in the description, not just so you can learn more about the products, but also learn a bit more about who Jarrett is as well. That's right, our wireless CarPlay and Android Auto MMI Prime is our flagship product for a reason. Access to all your favorite apps right on your iDrive display, and Siri and Google Assistant are just a voice command away. But enough of that, let's get to the installation. Here are the tools you need for the job. First, we need to open the hatch and remove the cargo cover by pulling up on these tabs and then pulling the cover away. Pop the rear section out the same way. To get access to the battery, we need to disconnect, remove all of the floor coverings, any mat, the floor panel, and cargo tray. With a 10mm socket, remove the negative battery terminal and set it aside. To get started with the installation of the wireless CarPlay and Android Auto MMI Prime, the first thing you'll want to do is work on removing the center console. Start by removing the shift knob by pulling up. Next, remove the shifter trim with a trim tool and disconnect the two cables under simply by pulling. After that, remove this trim piece. And disconnect the iDrive cable by pulling. To remove the e-brake trim, pop the trim off and shift it up. Now we need to start actually disconnecting the center console so we could slide it back and run cables. Push your armrest forward, then pop off the rear plastic section. You'll need access to these two 10mm nuts. Use a ratchet to remove them. There is a T20 screw that we need to get to. You may need to reconnect your battery to move your seat because you will need access to this small panel. Use a trim tool to help pop it off from underneath. Let's finish up with these last two 10mm bolts and one 10mm nut. Before we could slide the center console back, remove this control fascia for better access. We can now slide the console back. We need to start tackling the trim for the head unit. Use your trim tool and carefully remove these two trim pieces around the head unit and HVAC controls. The plastic is thin, so be careful. We now need to remove the 4 Phillips head screws holding the head unit in place. Jarrett pushed the lower piece off to the side just to keep it out of the way. To get some extra room, remove the HVAC controls. Disconnect the two slide lock connectors. The ribbon cable can stay attached. Once everything is free, we can now start removing the head unit. Pull it out, and once free, disconnect everything from the back. The tabs on the center console make it a little tricky to get out, but it will come free with some persuasion. For these, pull up on the white tabs, squeeze, and pull. A trim tool can help with some extra leverage. For the quad lock, pinch in the side tabs and rotate the arm up. We now need to prep for the mic cable. We'll run it up the passenger side A-pillar. Use a pick tool to remove the airbag emblem. After that, you'll expose a T40 Torx bit that you need to remove. It might be tight. Once it's free, it's time to remove the A-pillar. Use a trim tool in your hands and begin working the A-pillar trim free. It is held on by multiple internal tabs that you'll need to break free. To make things easier, remove the visor. It's held on by two T25 screws on the arm and one T20 screw under the other side. Thanks, BMW. To remove the center dome cluster, you may find it a little helpful to also remove this side of the other visor as well. Now use a trim tool to pop the center dome cluster out. Once it's free, remove the mic cable by pulling. You may find a pick tool helpful to get some extra leverage. It's finally time to start installing the BimmerTech products. First, the mic cable. Feed it under the headliner like so and plug it into the factory cable. Begin feeding the mic cable down the headliner, and when you have cleared enough, snap the center dome cluster back into place. When feeding it down the A-pillar, use cable ties to secure it to the existing harness so you don't interfere with the airbag. With the mic cable secure, go ahead and reattach your visors. We now need to feed the cable to the back of the head unit. Remove this side panel with a trim tool. You will also need to remove the lower panel under the dash. This is accomplished by removing these two T20 Torx screws. Once the panel is out, remove it and start feeding the cable through. We now need to move on to the iDrive controller. We need to feed it under and through the center console. You can find a few ways to do this, but Jarrett found a good spot to the right. It does involve a few different feeds of the cable type, but the end result will lead to a hidden iDrive harness. Plug the factory iDrive harness into the BimmerTech iDrive harness. For this car, we will be using the 4-pin connector. The large connector will just sit unused. And for that, we need to start wiring up the plug-and-play harness so we can feed it through to the MMI. Now we need to start running the cables to the MMI. Let's start with the BimmerTech plug-and-play harness. Take the power end and feed it through here like so. Make sure the aux cable is accessible and can reach the aux port. This is how audio connects with the MMI. Make sure you have easy access to your USB cable as well. This will hang outside of the trim for easy access in the future. While the end of the harness is near, let's transfer the fiber optic cable from the factory harness to the BimmerTech plug-and-play harness. Use a pick tool to lift up on the tab holding the cable in place and pull the cable out. Once it's out, place it in the same location in the BimmerTech plug-and-play harness. Next, we feed through the Wi-Fi antenna. Tape it the same way like all the rest and feed it through. To mount the Wi-Fi antenna, peel off the backing of the double-sided tape and secure it out of the way where the head unit will go. Jarrett found a good spot on the other end of the head unit bracket. Now feed the LCD out and in cables to the MMI like the other cables. Now we need to plug everything into the MMI to give it a quick test. Plug the power harness here. Antenna cable here. LCD in. LCD out. And now the microphone cable into the plug-and-play harness. And the iDrive cable too. Finally, plug in the USB AV harness. We need to fit the MMI up here. To do that, unplug these two connectors and slide the MMI in place like so. Finalize the installation of your MMI by dressing up all of the cables. Now we need to get the head unit plugged back in so we can test. Plug everything in the opposite way you took it out, but now with using the BimmerTech LCD cable and the BimmerTech plug-and-play harness. The final step for the test is to plug in your iDrive controller. Make sure the cable is seated all the way in. If it's loose, your MMI will not work. Once everything is in place, make sure your battery is connected and turn on your car's power. Once your test is complete, it's time to start putting everything back together. Just put everything back the opposite way you took it out. Don't forget the dash panel on the bottom, side, and your A-pillar trim. And that wraps up the installation of our wireless CarPlay and Android Auto MMI Prime in Jarrett's E84 X1. Guys, if you want to get this for your car, head on over to our website and enter your VIN so you can get the appropriate kit for your car. And if you want to see more videos like this about BMWs, Rolls Royces, Supras, and Minis, make sure you subscribe and don't forget to ring that bell so you don't miss any of the future upcoming videos. And if you want to see more videos featuring Jarrett's car, check the links in the description for our installation of our Alpha 1 speaker system and our premium audio amplifier. And hey, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok as well. Thanks for watching.